Well, that's better. I don't know. Things were a little wonky there for a second. Hey, Mrs. Giggles. I don't know what was happening there. It was a little bizarre. Hey! I'm just getting everything ready. Ooh, look at everyone. Haven't been on for a while. I know you haven't been on for a while. Hi, Stella. Hey, Jackie. Sunny Daydream. I'm not sure what was going on there. I've had quite a day. It's been interesting. I have new specs because I did a massive overhaul in my office today. When I first moved in here, this was intended to be my office. I've always had one, and I kind of just left it for a little while because when I was with the Narc in the last 6 months, I did nothing but stay in my office because then I didn't have to be around him. So I think there was a little bit of trauma there with that, where I just wanted to stay out of an office that I had set up. But today I decided I was going to turn this into my studio/office, and it's a construction zone in here. I have stuff everywhere. I was trying to hang some wall hangings today, and I always wear my glasses on top of my head. And when I went to tip my head back, they actually fell off my head, and I stepped on them and crushed them. So I had to make a quick dash to replace my glasses because they're not fixable. So then I jump on here and I've got some weird filter. So I really apologize if you can see the reflection of the light in my glasses. I'm a work in progress, you know, aren't we all? We got Photo Rocky here, Elizabeth, hello, Takara Lee. Wow, I haven't seen some of you in so long. How y'all been, you guys? So, did anybody tune in last night to watch Marlene and I talk about boundaries and green flags? This is the direction we're moving in. I still want to reserve one night. So this is my plan going forward, is to have Monday nights as the guest spot, and then another night throughout the week. So I want to keep them either Tuesday or Thursday for Q&A, Ask Me Anything. And in that Ask Me Anything, this is where you can ask me the questions about the Narc. You can ask me about moving forward and all of this stuff. I think I want to keep those Monday nights clean and on topic, but I want to make sure that I've got a night that is specifically designed and designated for you. So I posted a question earlier to Ask Me Anything, and I already have a few questions. So I'm going to start with Abby Mork, and her question was, how do you deal with the guilt towards yourself on how you let things get as bad as they did? A lot of us feel guilt after leaving the narcissist. I even had a tiny little pang of guilt the other day when I thought about how life must be different for him according to what I've been hearing from other people. And I had a little pang of guilt. But how I move towards move away from the guilt is really to forgive myself. So we feel guilt for letting things get as bad as they did. We stayed there for as long as we did because we didn't know anything differently. We didn't know how to escape an abusive relationship. We didn't even know that the relationship was abusive. All we knew was that this didn't feel right, and how do we let things get so bad? Because you're just trying to survive. If you knew how to make sure that things never got that bad, you never would have. So after the fact, when you're still having guilt about the narcissist and for allowing things get as bad as they did, the real true way to remedy that is to forgive yourself. Not the narc. You've got to forgive yourself. You've got to forgive yourself for the ways that You had to show up to survive that relationship, for the ways that you stifled your voice when you really wanted to speak up and speak out into how terrible that whole situation was. You've got to forgive yourself for not leaving when you felt that you should have. You've got to forgive yourself for all of the things you didn't know how to do better. And that really is how you move forward from the guilt of leaving the narc, is all about forgiveness. And that's got to be for you, not for anyone else. You've got to learn to forgive yourself. And that has been one of my biggest practices, is true forgiveness. And you know, they always say that if you forgive, you'll find peace. But that forgiveness doesn't have to be for another person. It really does need to be for the ways that you didn't know how to do better or how to do differently. And that's where that true inner peace comes from, is true inner forgiveness also. Pearl 2203 says, if the ex-narc has told me that he'll be expecting my wish on his birthday, should I? I love this question. And so many of you will already know my answer. Hell fucking no. You do not call the narc to wish him a happy birthday on his birthday if he is your ex. And if he is your ex, you should be going no contact. No contact means he has no access to you to ask you that silly question of should I call you? Should you call me on my birthday and wish me happy birthday? Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're not a robot. You're no longer his circus clown. And I say that lovingly because I made a post yesterday about how I felt like I was the circus clown for the circus clown himself. And truth be told, you owe him nothing. Get on with your life. Block all roads and avenues that lead to you so he has zero access. That is always my answer. No contact. Fuck this shit. Fuck that guy. Pardon me. I have a little bit of a mouth sometimes. Beth Marotta says, what if you're dumb enough to get in another relationship with another narc? Some narcs present themselves very differently. I thought I was an expert. Now I think I'm on my third. How is that possible? Just because you can recognize what a narcissist is, and you can recognize the red flags, and you know the behaviors, by the time, every narc is different, and by the time that they have hooked you in, it's already too late. You're already invested. You've invested time, money, your heart, emotion. You're not dumb. You just need to heal your stuff. Because when you do the healing, and the healing looks like self-respect, self-love. It looks like seeing those red flags and not giving them a free pass. When you heal yourself, it is about being able to identify that which no longer resonates with where you're going. If you do the healing work, you won't attract those people, or maybe you will attract those people, but you will not accept them for another moment of your life. So if you're going to go from narc to narc to narc, this is the universe telling you that there's something you need to heal within yourself so that you don't end up in another relationship with another narcissist. Take time away to spend time with yourself. Get to know who you are, what you love, the foods you like, because whenever you're in a relationship with a narcissist, it's never about you. It's always about being an accessory to their life. So how is it possible that you ended up with a third narc? Because you haven't healed what landed you with the first. I always have a hard time forgiving myself for reacting to the narcissistic person triggering me. It's so frustrating. There really is, you've got to remember that when they're triggering you, this is just something that you still need to heal. That's all a trigger is. Otherwise, it wouldn't bother you anymore. So when you catch yourself in that moment when you're being triggered by a narcissistic person, or and how you lash out, take a deep breath and sit down and actually replay it in your head and ask yourself how you could have played that story out differently. And then keep replaying the different story in your head until you've got a different feeling within your body. And when you do start replaying a different scenario, the next time you end up in a situation where you're being triggered, you can instantly recall that replay and have it be effective in the moment. Hi, Stella. I'm going through a smear campaign. I'm here because I feel his minions are waiting to talk about me. Is this bad? And always out of town. Is this bad? Their minions are always talking about you because they're small-minded. They're flying monkeys. They're easily to manipulate. So they're reporting back to the narcissist. And what I can tell you is give them something to report back about. Meaning, live your life. Be happy. Pay little attention to the minions. Pay little attention to those flying monkeys. If they've got something to go back to the narc about, let it be something badass. Let it be something to actually talk about. Talk about how incredible you are as a woman, how you're healing, how you're moving on with your life. And even if it all is just for a show on social media where they're watching you, let it be a good freaking show. That's what I've got to tell you. Let it be a good show. People are going to talk, and you've got to do the healing till you get to the point where you no longer give a shit what's coming out of their mouth. Because you cannot please everyone. And the only opinion that truly matters is the one of your own. You need to matter. You need to be able to look at yourself every single day and say, I am doing the best that I can. Fuck those people who don't pay my bills, who don't contribute to my daily life in any capacity. Screw them all, because you're the one who has to get up every day and go through the motions of whatever phase of your healing aspect that you're in. Some people have a hard time getting out of bed. You know what? That's a triumph in itself, getting out of bed some days. Nobody else is there to pick you up. So my biggest opinion about that is screw them. Give them something to talk about. Make sure it's a badass point of view for them to be discussing. Complete no contact, including anyone who with ties to them. Yes, it's the only way to get completely free of these types. And I say this very cautiously, because there are some people that are going to remain tied to the narcissist through association of others, of groups, of work, of family, or whatever that is. But a true friend, someone who really cares about you and respects you, will not be reporting back to the narcissist. And there are those people out there too. You've just got to learn to trust yourself and decipher which ones they are. Lawton says saying no to things you really don't want to do. Yeah. Aventura, what are the top signs for someone that isn't sure if they are in a relationship like this or if it is in their head? If you're questioning whether you're in a narcissistic relationship, that's your top sign. That's your number one sign. If you have to question whether you're in a relationship with a narcissist, it's time to go. Because they will never, a good healthy relationship, someone who is not a narcissist, will not leave you doubting the relationship, will not leave you questioning what kind of person they are. That is your number one. If you're doubting and questioning, it's time to go. What else? Sunny Daydream says, like I said yesterday, I find lately, after finally going no contact, that I'm really missing him, although he was so horrible the last time that I saw him. Yes. So, the missing him is an addiction. So just like some people can relate less to alcohol and drugs, but they can relate more to the shopping aspect of when they're feeling a void in their life, or eating junk food, binging on food, stuffing our feelings with substance of some kind. So what you're doing right now, Sunny, is you're missing him because there's a void in your life. And albeit toxic, he was filling that void. He was bringing some kind of adrenaline rush to your life, and then you were getting satiated with that serotonin and dopamine. So it's really important to remember that when you start missing him, you're not really missing him. You're missing the routine. You're missing the things you did together. You're missing that part of your life. You're missing something, but it's not him, because he was a horrible person. So you were missing the events. You were missing what that relationship brought to you. And it's really important for you to be able to learn how to identify that. Yeah, see, and there you go. I think I missed the times, like the fun things we did together, not him. 100,000%. Even when we went and did fun things together, it was never a good vibe with him. There was always bad vibes, or he was being selfish, etc. during it. And this is something that Marlene and I talked about last night. A green flag is somebody who wants to show interest in what it is that makes you tick. They want to show interest in your family and in your friends, and not just show interest, they want to get to know them, because that's part of who you are. If they're isolating you and they're moving you away from those relationships, it's because they need to manipulate you to fit and conform to what it is they expect of you. And they can only do that if they don't have somebody whispering in your ear that they can see right through them. Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope G. I saw the ex-narc with his new supply. The new girl today. I've totally blocked him and cut him out of my life. Feel like I'm healing and mad that I got upset and triggered today. You know what? It's that kind of stuff's going to trigger you. And I'm going to tie this in with a question from Queen of Wishful Thinking. She also asked, how did you get past the new supply? She's not processing it well because it's hurting her so much. And these two things go together. It's the moment that you see them with the new supply, or you learn of the new supply, that you might think that they're having a better life or a better time or being treated better by the narc. But if you rewind and go back to when you first started dating the narc, you'll remember too how great it was. You'll remember how he doted on you, or she took care of everything for you, or how they just made you feel like you were on top of the world because they're idealizing you. How I moved past the thought of the new supply was to find compassion for her, because I had to remember and recall what it was like to be her at the very beginning, and then all of the things that I endured between then and now. And that really is a saving grace for me, because I don't wish that upon anyone. And I know that she's now headed into the darkest days of her life if she can't figure it out quick enough and get out. So how I got past the new supply was to find compassion for what she does not yet know, for what he does not yet know. This is not specific to men or women. I'm just speaking generally here. So when you don't know what you don't know, you think everything's a bed of roses. We were all wearing rose-colored glasses when we got involved with the narc. Otherwise, we would have seen the red flags. But without the rose-colored glasses, red flags are just flags. So remember, that's their tactic at the beginning. That's their whole intention at the beginning of the relationship, is to idealize the new supply so that they can get them believing that there's nothing wrong with them, and the other person, i.e. you, is the crazy one, and destroyed the entire relationship. It's all bullshit. It's all hogwash. We know how this is all going to end up for them. We do. Trust that. That's how you move past it. Bree says, what if the narc and flying monkeys are socially isolating you and you have no one? How do you pretend you're not hurt? You don't pretend you're not hurt. You've just got to be careful of how you express that hurt and who can see it. And because these flying monkeys and the narc are all about tapping into that energy. Being socially isolated is very difficult. And it's okay for you to retreat and process this on your own. And it is really important. I find this to be where you find out who your friends are. You find out who the people are in your life that matter, and who are worthy of continuing a relationship with. I call it the weeding the garden process. And it hurts. It sucks. It sucks. And you learn to meet new people through the very few that you have left in your social circle. Even if it's 3, you're going to meet new people through them. So look at this as you're weeding your garden and you're making room for more people to for healthier people to come in, for healthier people to be part of your life. I know you're hurt. You can't pretend that you're not. You've got to process that. Just don't let them see you cry. What's the best way to ruin a narcissist? I don't believe in ruining anyone. I believe go about your life. You want to ruin a narcissist, for the lack of a better terminology? Mind your business. Narcissists can't feed where there's no energy supply. So go about your life, build a new life, build new friendships, heal your ass. When you start healing your ass, you turn into a major badass. And that is what ruins the narcissist, is to see you actually thrive and get on with your life without them. Withdraw from the drama. The best way to ruin a narc is to ignore them and let them go in love and light. Yeah, see, we're all on the same page here. It just takes me a little while to catch up because I have your questions right in front of me. The narc, some of you are new here. A really good tool for learning how to distance yourself from the narc is not to own them in any capacity. Do not call them my narc, my ex, my children's dad, or my children's father. It is the narc, the ex, the the father of my children. This will create that emotional distance that you need to start healing. It is the biggest tool you can use. The narc has stopped hoovering after I maintained my no contact. Now he is quiet and I'm wondering what's going on. He was hoovering for over a year and now stopped. Why are you wondering? This is what the goal is. The goal is for them to go away and get on with our lives. If it's important for you to know, it's because they finally found a new supply that's giving them what they want, which is energy. And if you've maintained no contact, celebrate that. That is huge if you can maintain no contact. That's a badass move right there. Don't even worry about them. Stop wondering about them. Get on with your life. Start living for you. For as long as you keep wondering, even if you are no contact and you keep wondering what's going on in their life, and let me tell you, creeping their social media is not no contact. No contact means zero. This is really important to start moving forward in your healing, because for as long as you're giving them in your energy, they're still winning. Aisha says, I need serious help. I'm currently going through a breakup from a 4-year relationship because he couldn't stop cheating. I forgave everything. I will touch on this towards the end. These are not coaching sessions. These are tips. You can book time with me by clicking the link in my bio, and we can work one-on-one to get you moving forward and to start dealing with the trauma and the triggers and all of that stuff. I can't get my... Cold in Love says, I can't get my mind off him. I try so hard to be present in the moment, but I feel in a daze of thoughts of him. That's because you've got nothing else going on. You've got to create new things in your life. You've got to create new things that divert your energy in a positive way. You've got to find something to be excited about. You got to be excited about something else. Stella says, the narc used to talk bad about his parents for days. I was going crazy when he turned on me, like narcissistic vomit. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. If he loved you, he wouldn't cheat on you. He doesn't love you. Choose someone. Boy, I'm trying to catch up here. Your posts encourage me every single day. On the days when I think I can't possibly breathe one more breath, I look at your posts and think maybe I can do this. And you guys, thank you for your... I get so many comments and messages from so many of you, and I want to thank you for those because they keep me going. There are days, we all have the days where we feel like we can't go on. And there are days when I may question, what am I doing this all for? What's my purpose behind all of this? And then I'll get a message like that. And my purpose is to remind you how badass you are and how you can survive. We can get over anything, you guys. We can get over anything. Generations before us have survived and gotten over so many challenges in life to pave a road better for us. And now we have a responsibility to our next generation to get over our generational bullshit and heal it so that we can keep encouraging a fulfilling life and belief in that there is something besides the hell on earth that we put ourselves through. We've got to support one another, and the only way we can do that, there's going to be two support systems. There's going to be your survivor bond, where you meet another survivor who's gone through exactly the same thing you have, so it seems, and that connects you. And the only thing that's connecting you is your trauma, because then you can sit there and you can commiserate together. Or there's going to be the survivor bond that lifts you and encourages you and wants to see you move forward. Not everybody wants to see you in the trenches. I want to see you move forward. I get clients, and I have, depending on where they're at in their healing when they come to me, we've got a goal. I don't want to be seeing the same person 2 years in a row, 1 hour a week. I want to be seeing you spread those sessions out, because you're living your life and you're remembering what it is to be who you are. That's the goal, is to live. Thank you for that. Your true friends will stick around and the rest will fall off. How do you end this with someone like this? I've been with my boyfriend for 5 years. I've tried, but whenever we fight bad and I try to end things, he cuts me down so low that I end up begging him to stay. It really does come down to wanting a better life for yourself. When you get so tired, for me and for so many other survivors, it really comes down to having enough of the bullshit. You get tired of living that life. You get tired of feeling that way. You get tired of the abuse. You get tired of feeling pathetic. And I felt so pathetic. Why am I begging this person to see me when I can't even see myself? You just get tired of it all. And that's when you find a way out. Doesn't matter if it takes you a year to leave, if you've got to plan it out, or if you pack your shit and you walk out that door. It just takes you getting sick and tired of the bullshit. Everyone keeps warning me that narcs need power. Yes, this is very true. They can't survive. If you gray rock them, and check out my IGTV video on the gray rock method, it really is about being boring to them. And if you're boring to them, they're going to go find someone who's more exciting. That's the bottom line when it comes to a narcissist. Do narcs always try to come back? Yeah. Yeah. There were 15 months between, there was a 15-month period between when I left the narc and ended up back with him. They always try to come back. You've just got to get to a point where you say no. Bree, thank you for your advice. You're welcome, sweetie. So tired of the bullshit. And someone that kisses their ass. Yeah, they really do need that energetic supply. They need someone who's going to feed into their ego. And they need it now. That's why when you end up in a relationship with a narcissist, it comes in really hot and heavy. And it just takes you by storm. Ooh, Defronic says, had one Hoover after 10 years. Sunny, it's been 2 weeks, no contact. I don't want to speak to him or see him, but I feel like he creeps back up sooner or later, especially since I have some really amazing things coming up in my life. So focus on those amazing things. If we always have that little bit of fear in the back of our head that they might come up and Hoover us, we're going to draw that toward us. I'm a big believer in where attention goes, energy flows. So if you can start to quiet that voice that's speaking in your head about when he might come back, and really amplify the voice of the great things that you've got going on in your life, and you keep redirecting and redirecting and redirecting, I will be in sessions with clients and I will just keep cutting them off and keep cutting them off because they keep going down the rabbit hole. You've got to be your own advocate and keep cutting yourself off and yanking yourself out of that rabbit hole. Keep your focus forward on all the amazing things you've got going on in your life. Mandy says, the abuser has so many characteristics of a narc, and I keep seeing how narcs always drop you, but he hasn't. He won't leave. I pray for him to find someone else to be with. Narcs don't always leave, and that's a huge misconception. Narcs don't leave as long as they're getting what they need from you. And if they can get what they need from you and get what they need from other people too, they're not going anywhere. It's not that they drop you like a hot potato and then they just keep going from one to another. They'll stay with you for as long as they can until you no longer serve their purpose. So if you want the narc to leave, if you're praying for the narc to leave, that's a really good indication that you need to get out of the relationship. I almost took my life because I couldn't stand the pain anymore. And that's when I realized, this is my answer. I don't want to be here. It's time for me to go. It's time for me to go. If it's your home, Mandy, check into your state laws to see what you can do to have them removed. Honestly, there are ways to have them removed. Lawton says, another hurricane might be coming this way, so I'm guaranteed that the narc will contact me, just so the narc's image isn't tarnished. So for Lawton's case, the narc in his life, the narcs, but mostly this one in particular, is his father. And the father only, it's an interesting situation because the narc with Lawton, his dad blocks him from texting, and then will send an email in the middle of a hurricane asking if everything's okay. And Lawton has told him right out, well, if you didn't block me, you'd get my text messages telling you that everything is what it is. So narcs have a very, very funny way of reaching out and then blocking you, and reaching out and blocking. D says, what do you do when the narc is your brother and has turned most of your family against you? Shake my head. Aside from my sister and parents, everyone buys into his BS. You know what? Just because a narc is family doesn't mean that you have to maintain any kind of relationship with him. This is the biggest bullshit lie that we've bought into over our life, is that we need to tolerate things because they're family. That's not true. I've had to look at certain family members in my life and say, if we weren't blood, would I want this person in my life? No. Can I be amicable? Sure. But do they get details of my life or the privilege of knowing certain things about my life? Absolutely not. They get simple answers. They get gray rock answers. Because if I would not have this person in my life by choice, it does not mean I have to have them in my life by blood either. It's still a choice. It's still a choice. Mandy says, I gave him an eviction, but it's so hard because the sweet, mean abuse is so strong and it makes me feel guilty. I'm so sick of it. And this is the addiction. Yeah, it's the addiction. You've just got to get sick of it. One of the last things the narc said to me was, all we need is a few months. Like, what the hell does that mean? You've got to decide what it means. The narc and I split last October, but I wasn't in a situation where I could just pack up and leave. He had manipulated all my finances, so I had no backup money. I had no money. So this is all part of the manipulation, where he says, well, you can stay here until the end of January. You don't have to pay me any rent. You don't have to pay any utilities, and you just save your money so that you can get yourself set up. Because for the umpteenth time, I was starting all over again. New furniture, new dishes, new pots and pans, new towels, new everything. And so the plan was, in his mind, I've got 3 or 4 months to manipulate her and get her to do what I want, and maybe she'll stay. But I had to decide, no effing way was that happening. And we split in October, and I moved out December 1st. I was not subjecting myself to that abuse for another minute if I could help it. So it really is decisions. We feel helpless because we've been psychologically abused. But let me tell you, there's nothing more powerful than someone who's fighting for their life and has had enough of the pain and suffering that someone else is subjecting them to. So when you've had enough of it, you will just stop questioning, you will stop talking, and you'll just start doing, and you'll find a way, you'll come up with a plan. I came up with a plan and I made it happen because nothing was more important than my mental health. Why do narcs hoover, and will they ever commit to anyone? Yeah, they'll commit to someone if that someone is constantly giving them what they need. And when I say commit, they'll marry, they get married. But if you stop fulfilling their sexual demands, they'll threaten to go elsewhere in a way to manipulate you to start doing what they want. And if you don't, then they'll just go elsewhere. Commitment doesn't mean the same to a narc as it does to a healthy individual. And they hoover because if they can get you back in, they know what source of supply they have with you. They know what they can do to manipulate you. And they would know what level they've got to take it to hoover you back in. So that's why they hoover. And if they can't get you, they just move on. They'll come back and try later, but they'll move on for the moment. D says he got worse when I cut him off. He started calling my job, making up lies to get me fired. And they do that. I stayed with the narcissist for quite a long time because he took intimate photos of us and posted them on an amateur porn site and on Twitter. And then when I asked him, begged him, threatened, yelled at him to take them down because he was going to ruin my career, he threatened to send them to my boss and to my parents and my daughter if I didn't get with the program. And I was so terrified that I got with the program. But here's what I know. A narc loves to manipulate and loves to threaten. They also love to push the envelope, but they still have to come out looking like the good guy. So if they go and publicly post stuff with their name and face behind it as a means to hurt you, then they do look terrible, and they will run a smear campaign and all of these things. You just have to get okay. I had to get okay. I went and I talked to my parents and I told my boss, this is what's going on. And that vulnerability saved me because I erased the fear and the threat, that black cloud that hung over my head just by putting it out there. So he couldn't manipulate me with those things anymore. Are a lot of narcs addicts? Alcohol, drugs, porn, sex, shopping, totally. Does anyone know if there's a way to disable message requests on IG? I'm so sick of the fake profiles being set up by him every 3 months, begging me to speak to him. I don't think there's a way to disable message requests, but you just keep block and delete, repeat, block, delete, repeat, block, delete, repeat. You gotta just stay true to you. Keep going. Yeah, he was a scumbag. But you know what? Here's the thing. I see a lot of comments about how everyone's sorry that I was treated so badly. I felt terrible. It was horrible. And I did a lot of things that I never would have done sexually in any other relationship that was healthy. I just so desperately wanted him to love me and to make him happy. And when I realized that every time I did that, I was taking away from my own happiness. I compromised my bottom line. I've always been a woman of integrity and dignity, and I felt those things slipping through my fingers. But now that I've had that experience, I can speak into something that a lot of people might be afraid to speak into, and I can be a voice for those people. And you know what? When you put it out there, and this is why I say vulnerability is the best defense, because if you're vulnerable, there's nothing they can throw at you. There's nothing they can use against you, because people already know. You think I care? There's a million naked bodies out there. Mine is nothing special, and mine is not anything. He can't hurt me with it. Hurt me with my body? Okay, thanks. It's just your perspective. It's just how you shift things and how you... And it really is. I could sit here and stay in victim mode about how he's got thousands of photos of me and thousands of photos of other women. And I could sit here and live in fear that he's going to expose them. He already did. He exposed them time and time and time again. with no care or fear or of how that would affect me. So I had to flip that script in my mind and make it mean something different. My body isn't anything special in the realm of pornography. It's just a human body. It's just flesh and bones and skin and fat and stretch marks, and it's beautiful because it has taken me through this life. So when I made it mean something different about me, it takes on a whole new narrative. I did, I could, all of those things have been taken down. So D says that I should sue his ass. I did tell him that if I ever discovered any kind of pornography of me online again, that I would be going to the police, because that is a crime. I did not have that wherewithal at the time to have that conversation with him. Mandy says, I've had to try to be perfect, and he's taken away my sense of self because I didn't want to give him anything to use against me as ammunition later. Yeah, we all have to try to be perfect. Revenge porn can be prosecuted in some states, and I don't know about Canada. It's illegal here too. But that was while we were together. So as far as I know, nothing's out there. But if I ever discovered it, I know I have legs to stand on. So I'm not too concerned about that. Whew, these Q&As are flying. How's everyone feeling? I really love these Q&As where it's just one-on-one, me with all of you, because so much gets lost in... Stella says, yeah, you can be prosecuted in Canada. So much gets lost on those 1 hour lives on Mondays. But this is really important for us to still connect and still hit on all levels and all questions and be able to address things. Dee says, I think we're all in shock such human beings exist. And that really is, my aunt is in from Vancouver, and we sat down and we talked, and of course she's curious about the work I'm doing now, and sorry, I'm just seeing repeat questions here. So she was curious, and when I explained some of this stuff to her, I think it fascinates a lot of people that this actually happens, and it happens more often than not. You know, I think we all like to give people the benefit of the doubt and see the best in others. But sometimes it's good to be skeptical at first. And this is what I'm learning to flip for myself, is it is good to be skeptical. It's good to question things first, to take your time getting to know somebody, to take your time getting to know yourself. What are we rushing toward? Why are we rushing to be in a relationship? Why are we rushing towards something that we don't know we even want yet? We don't know. Bree says, I like how you said women in the past worked hard for what we have now, and that we should continue and not stop the fight and not take steps backwards. You know, my daughter, she's going to be 30 in a few months, and her biggest fear was always that she was going to disappoint me by not pursuing secondary education or not getting married and settling down. And all I said to her was, the only way you can disappoint me is if you don't live a life that fulfills you. I have no expectations. If she doesn't want to have children, I'm not begging for grandchildren. I've got little nieces and nephews. I'm good. Would I love to welcome a grandchild? I would love to love a grandchild, but only if she wants to have one. And this is when we release our children of expectations of what we want to have for ourselves. We give them the freedom to actually live into a life courageously and boldly that belongs to them, not to us. We don't have children to give us anything. We have children for all of these reasons that we don't even know when we have them. I love my daughter. I don't want her to give me anything other than the pure joy of seeing her be happy. That's it. I love being her mother. I didn't always love being a mother, but I love being her mother. And there is a difference in all of that. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to change that generational curse, you guys. I don't want for my daughter to have the same thing I had in relationships. She's already had some of those things and has repeated some of those patterns. And my job now as her mother to an adult daughter is to help her break that generational curse also. We repeat our family patterns. And when we can see where the pattern is within our line, we can look to break it. Sarah says, because everyone is so bloody impatient these days, instant gratification. You know what? I agree 100%. And we live in this disposable society. Oh, this doesn't work. This phone's shitty. New one. Oh, I just got this new phone and there's already the next, I got an iPhone 10 and the iPhone 11's coming out. Next. And that really is what it is. And because we live in that disposable instant gratification society, we don't even know what fulfills us anymore. We don't know what brings us joy. We don't know what we want. We don't have the longevity to sustain relationships of importance, of depth, of passion and true connection. We've forgotten what it's like to be truly connected to another person. Shake my head. You look 30. Oh, look at you ladies. Yeah, 30 years old. I was 9 when I had her. No, I was a young mother at 16. I love you guys. I love that we've had this incredible conversation tonight. Thank you all for showing up. We've got 10 minutes left, and I'll give you 10 minutes of my time if you got a question. And then Instagram boots us off, and we're done. While I was setting up my office today, I realized that because it is a construction zone in here, and I had to, because I stepped on these glasses. So I got the very first time I got glasses, I was with the Narc, and I got them 6 years ago. And today, as I'm setting it, it's so profound actually when I think about it again, because I didn't want to set up this office. I didn't want to hole myself up in a room for all the hours of the day that I'm on session with clients or making videos. And then I just decided that today was the day that I'm going to bust loose and I'm going to clean this place up and I'm going to start setting up my studio. And wouldn't you know, as I'm setting up my new studio for my new forward direction, that I crush my old glasses. Glasses are the lens that we see life through. Our eyes are the things that the way that we see life. And I crushed my old vision today by stepping on those glasses. And now I have a brand new lens to see things through. And I think I loved what the universe was telling me today. What's the best ways to stop thinking of reasons that they should be back in your life? Sometimes I find myself looking at the things I did wrong too, but it was more him than me. He was so abusive. Really, it doesn't matter. We all have to hold ourselves accountable to how we showed up in the relationship. But if the relationship's toxic, there's no way to talk yourself into going back into that unless you want to have more toxicity. So the best way to talk yourself out of it is to start talking about the things that you do want to have, the things you want to feel, the experiences you want to be living, and start imagining what that would feel like for yourself and with the right healthy partner. Take your focus off the narcissist and put your focus back onto yourself and onto your life and how you want to be living it. And it really does come from a feeling. You've got to start feeling good about your life and start feeling passion or some positivity toward the new direction you want to have. Stella says, the Narc I knew started wearing dark blue contacts, so they changed their appearance to attract new supply. Yeah, totally. Hi, Molly. I'm finally getting rid of the Narc. 2 years of the circus. What scares me the most is dating again. What is the first warning sign do you feel a narcissist will show? Whew. I don't think there is any first warning sign that they'll show. I think that what you've got to do is learn to trust that first feeling you have that feels off. Because they can say something, and we know this from being with an narc before. They can say something, but if it doesn't feel right in your gut, trust that. Don't be looking for their red flags as much as you should be trusting your intuition. Because it is our mistrust and our doubting our intuition that lands us in those relationships in the first place. Has anyone answered the question with some positive outcomes to online dating? I'm not going online. I am ready to get back into the dating world, but online is not an option for me. I just think that it's become such an accessible way for narcissists to find supply, and quick supply, to get sex, to get money, to get whatever it is that they need. I'm not saying that's true about all people that are on those dating sites, but I think being particular about where you put yourself is also a deep reflection of self-care. Good night, Lawton. What do you want for your life? Because they don't ever change. Exactly. I read you should make a list of things he put you through to remind yourself and actually face the facts and to feel it remember when you're feeling nostalgic. I don't think you... So I'm impartial to this. I think it's important to remember what you went through. I had a pang of guilt the other day when I drove past him, and I don't even know why I felt that pang of guilt, but then I remembered how shitty he was to me. And I didn't have to remember certain instances or anything. I just had to remember that general feeling of how shitty the relationship was. There's so many red flags. Remember, you don't miss him. You miss the idea. You wish the idea of being in love and in a relationship. 100%. We're going to start wrapping up here pretty soon. Sunny says he lied to me about a vacation he was on to his grandma in Florida when he really was his most current. You know what? Every time you keep repeating and going back over these things and replaying the past, you keep reliving it. Your body, your brain doesn't know chemically the difference between now and a past memory. So lovingly, compassionately, I am suggesting that you stop revisiting those thoughts, because those thoughts are going to keep recurring in your body as feelings, and you'll never escape that cycle if you don't start redirecting your attention elsewhere, toward your healing, toward what you want, toward your life experience. Sarah asks, how often do you still see him around? Lately, it's a lot more. I was hiding in plain sight, and I literally moved 2 minutes around the corner from him when I moved out. And it's only been in the last couple months that I've seen him around, but I don't feel anything for him other than that little bit of guilt, a little pang of guilt I felt the other day. But truth be told, I'm too focused on where I'm going to give a shit about where I've been and who I've been with. I've got some serious badassery to get up to in this world, and I want to stay focused on that. I want to stay focused on helping you guys and taking care of my own inner work, and start really living my life. So who he is, why you feel guilt, and this is a survivor thing. Hi, Pinar. This is a survivor thing. We feel guilt because they've made us feel guilty for wherever, when we're in that relationship, that's where they get us, is they make us feel guilty for things that they've done wrong. And sometimes it takes a long time to break those patterns. Whew. You guys, we're going to get booted here pretty quick. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for joining. If you joined us last night, thank you for joining us last night. The discussion of the narcissist is never going to end, but I really do believe how we discuss the narcissist, how we tell our story, where that comes from, how we feel about it, and that place of inner strength and fortitude that we start to tell our story is what's going to make all the difference. So you will not find me commiserating about narcissistic abuse. You will only find me helping others to educate and heal. I have quickly here, thank you. Right now, if you click the link in my bio, you can book individual sessions. You can book an email, 30 minutes, or a 1-hour session for 15% off for the month of September. Use the coupon code BADASS, all in caps, BADASS, all one word. Book your time. It fills up fast when these specials are on. I love you all. I love you. Thank you for being here, keeping you all in my highest energy of love and healing always. Stay badass and go rock the week.